welcome
to Dude That's Fucked Up.
You're Erin.
I'm Erin. And you're Nicole.
I'm Nicole.
Oh boy.
Nailed it.
How's everybody doing out there?
Yeah, how's everyone in the podmosphere? Hopefully enjoying your day. We've done a little we've time shifted through the space-time continuum to record these podcasts.
Yeah, I'm about to hop on a plane for Japan tomorrow, which is not tomorrow for people listening to this now. It's the future. Hello, future me.
Yeah. I hope you're enjoying Japan. I hope you've enjoyed Japan.
I think I'll be on my way home at this point by the time we put this one out.
Oh, that's magical.
Which is great. So magical. I'm going to eat and see so many weird things, I think.
Oh, so fun.
Hopefully. Yeah.
I know I want to talk about your 15-hour plane ride because I have a horror story for you, but really quick, I fucked something up with the Louis XIV 2 buttholes. He did have 2 buttholes, so it was a fact.
Like, for real.
Like for real had 2 buttholes, but the surgery was to correct one.
Oh, it wasn't a fistula?
Well, it was a fistula, but the surgery was to, like, close it up so that he only had 1 butthole, I think. But still, that makes it even weirder that, like, people wanted to have a fake second butthole corrected and call it the Royale to be fashionable.
Wait, so was it like a little pucker or like a what? I don't understand.
I don't understand either.
I also remembered after listening to the episode about something about fistulas. I was at risk of getting one after my surgery because I had stitches in my vagina that connected to like all my plumbing for like my rectum and stuff. So I was at risk of forming a fistula there. So that's a fun fact.
Would you have had 2
I would have
vaginas?
been shitting out of my vagina.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's no fun.
No. Oh, God.
Oh, it's bad enough we have periods.
I know.
I'm curious how you're going to fare on your plane ride. Is it like a red eye or?
Well, so the way it works is we cross the international date line. So it'll be the next day when we land. Yeah, 15 hours is like shitty no matter what.
Yeah,
so,
it's going to smell like farts.
I call planes a flying fart tube. So
yeah.
You're literally just flying through the air with like people's stale stank.
I called it a fart coffin recently. And I was like, yeah, it's death. Like
it's terrible.
You're dead by farts.
Yeah. Do you follow the Instagram passenger shaming?
No. Is that like pictures of when people like take their shoes off and put their foot like through the seats into your area?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or just leave like shit all over the floor for like the people to clean up and stuff. It's so like people are awful.
Yeah, flying.
They're so awful.
It's one of the worst things.
God bless flight attendants, and I mean all the recent stuff that's been happening lately. It's like everybody sucks when they're in the air and they just act like assholes.
Yeah.
So I just bought some compression socks.
Nice.
Which I'm excited to use. I hydrate a lot, even though on my flight to Israel, that was 11 hours, I stayed up really late with this girl talking because DJ couldn't get on the flight because his passport like had an issue.
Oh, no.
It like you have to have like a 6-month window before your passport expires for certain countries, or else your visa's not good. You can't be there. So he like got stopped while we were at the airport, got flagged, and had to go. I had to get on the plane without him. It was the worst. So I was like really upset.
Oh my God.
And I was like crying, and me and this girl were like chugging wine and we were talking. It was really cute. But don't do that. That's really not a good idea.
Yeah.
When you're flying long distances, you want to hydrate. Also, you could pass out really easily on flights if you're super dehydrated, which has happened to me before.
Oh.
It's really scary. Don't do that. So my tips are get up and move around as much as you can on long flights. I always get an aisle seat. I know that's like not a popular opinion. People want the window for sleeping, but
no. I get that.
You're not going to be Yeah, you're not going to be sleeping very comfortably. Also, I don't like feeling trapped. You're trapped enough as it is in a flight. So also I have like bladder issues because of my surgery. So it's not issues. Like I won't piss myself or anything. Piss yourself. But, you know, it's like it gets urgent real quick and it's uncomfortable. So I'm always in the aisle. And then so drink lots of water anyway. And I am a big fan of face masks and face spritzing to keep your skin hydrated.
Oh my God.
We always have lotion.
We're the same people.
Yeah. I also I have these headphones that like are like a headband and you just put them on your head and they're really comfortable. They're not like earbuds. They just sit on your ear.
Like and they're thin.
And they're thin and they keep your head warm, which is nice because I always get cold on flights. And I also have a really nice neck pillow that's like memory foam, so I'm ready to roll. Also, always just wear like the most comfortable clothes you can.
Yeah.
Don't wear jeans.
But also, I like to put a little bit of effort into looking nice when I travel because
absolutely.
I've heard so many people like complain that people are just so sloppy now when they travel. But I always wear the last long flight I had that was like overnight, I wore a scarf so that I could put it over my head so that that when I was sleeping and my mouth was all open, like no one would see it.
Yeah,
but it was great.
That's another accessory you should always have with you is a scarf.
Yeah, it's very nice.
For covering up your face.
And it helps like it covers your mouth so you don't like your mouth doesn't get as dried out and you don't get everybody else's germs. It's right. Like kind of like a little face mask.
Yeah, you can wear leggings and look nice.
Yeah, you can wear like a nice shirt and like a little cute sweater with it. You don't have to wear like something with like holes in it.
No.
And your grossest leggings with like that are like see-through on your butt or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
LuLaRoe leggings.
Yeah. You're like disintegrating paper leggings.
What's your horror story?
Oh God. Okay. Well, I don't know if I told you this. I hope not. But when I was going to the UK last year, we took a red eye, and it was mine and Pete's very first like European vacation, and it was kind of like a work trip and personal trip. So anyway, I don't know why that's relevant, but we were taking a red eye, and we didn't eat the food on the plane because that's one of my tips. Is if you don't have to, try and eat before you get on the plane because you never know what that food's going to be like.
Or bring something that's not smelly onto the flight with you.
And something that's like really, that'll make you feel good, like some vegetables and some protein and, like something that's not too heavy or like going to give you indigestion because it's already uncomfortable. Also,
flights run out of food a lot.
Yeah.
Or if you're sitting towards the back of the plane, you might not get food. That's happened to me a couple times, and I was like dying, and it was like delayed flight, and it was really bad, and the flight attendants like stole a bunch of stuff from first class and just like brought it to me. It was me and my mom and my aunt were like flying together.
Oh my God.
And we were like, we're so hungry, and they like one lady had a banana like from like home and like gave it to my aunt. It was really nice.
That's so nice.
I love flight attendants. They're the best.
Okay, these flight attendants were basically angels because what happened was everyone fell asleep and I was woken up violently by the smell of what I think was diarrhea. And I was like, oh man, there's like kind of kids near us, and so I was like, oh, a kid probably like shit its diaper and the parents are gonna clean it up. So it was rank. It was like, I was like, is it throw up or diarrhea? I couldn't tell. And I was like so disturbed. And we were like just over, we were flying from LA to London, and we were just over kind of like New York. And so we still had 5 hours left. And I noticed like a commotion in the aisle, and I'm like, what's going on? And everybody's like waking up a little bit. And the two flight attendants are like frantically going between someone's seat and the bathroom, and they're like, are you okay? What happened, I think, this was never confirmed, but they basically helped a man an older man, which is sad, get to the bathroom. I think he had thrown up and had diarrhea on his way to the bathroom right in the aisle next to our seat.
Oh my God. Oh my god.
And I was like, oh my god. And I was like gagging, like trying not to throw up and also just like trying to get back to sleep because I just like wanted to like forget about it.
That's a commotion that can't be cleared up.
Oh my god. They couldn't clean it up either. So eventually they just put like travel blankets in the aisle over it, and I think they tried to clean up his seat as best as possible. They moved him from the bathroom that I think he ended up just decimating, quarantined it, put him in the other one. He didn't leave the bathroom for the rest of the flight until I think we were about to land, and then he had to go to like a different seat somewhere because his was like gross. And they like were waking everyone up. They were serving breakfast, like literally rolling the breakfast cart over the like shit blankets in the aisle. And they're all, would you like breakfast? I was like, no thanks. They're like, nothing. I was like, no, I don't want to eat next to this like diarrhea spot. Like your
puddle
cart's
of
getting stuck
human
on
excrement.
Yeah,
oh my
your
god.
Your cart's getting stuck on the blanket that's covering up the diarrhea accident. And so,
Jesus.
yeah, and maybe it was throw up too. I think the guy had like food poisoning or something, probably from the food on the plane. No, I don't know. But anyway, we're like getting ready to land. Both of those bathrooms were quarantined. You couldn't use them. There was only 2 bathrooms on the other side. They weren't letting us use like the bathrooms in first class. And so there was like a huge line because it was like 2 coach cabins like sharing one set of bathrooms, and there was only 2, and we're trying to land and everyone has to pee. And I'm waiting, and one of the flight attendants walks by me, and the girls like sitting kind of where I was standing were definitely flight attendants and knew him, and they're like, oh my god, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm great. I've had so many little bottles of gin, it's not even funny. And I was like, oh man, you deserve all that gin. Like, yeah, good for you. Yeah.
Raid the fucking liquor cabinet, dude. Oh my god.
But that was our experience. And then we got kind of sick a few days later, and Pete wrote the airline and was like, did we catch something from that guy? And they never responded, but I don't think we did.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, because that's a fucking biohazard.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Somebody like having open shit in an aisle. Oh my god. I hope nothing like that happens on our flight.
Yeah, me too.
I hope I don't pass out again on a flight either. That is like the worst thing ever. It's so scary. Oh my God. I was like, I think I drank too much wine or something before we got on our flight, and I think was tired, and we just had like a long fun weekend were we at a wedding? I can't remember. But anyway, I like felt like I was going to either shit or throw up. And I'm like, woke up from like totally passed out on a flight. Like I was totally sleeping. Woke up like halfway through, and it was like a red eye. So everything was dark, and I was like breaking out into a cold sweat, and I was like, oh my God. So I get to the bathroom, and I just like slump down the wall in the bathroom. Like I can't even like stand up. And I was just like, what the fuck? I'm fully passing out, and I'm like sitting on the ground in the bathroom. And
that's
I was
even
just
grosser.
I know. Luckily, it was a pretty clean one.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I like wake up, and I try to stand up. I like splash water on my face. I kind of pass out again.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God, I need to get back to my seat. Like I tried to like see if I needed to go to the bathroom, and I didn't have to. It was just like that. Your whole body, when you have something like that happen, is like shutting down.
Oh my God.
And you're just like, you can't control anything. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to shit myself or throw up. Splash more cold water on my face. Try to make it back to my seat. I'm like walking down the aisle, and I just go down, and I hit my fucking face on.
My God.
Yeah, I hit my lip on somebody's like the armrest.
Yeah.
They didn't even wake up, but I like my lip is like bleeding. I'm like crawling down the aisle. I can't see anything because it's like pitch black. Like all the lights are off.
No one's
Everybody's
like,
sleeping.
Oh my God.
Everybody's sleeping. And I finally see in the eye, I'm like crawling. I don't know where my seat is. I don't know if I've passed it or like still have to go further. And I like look up, and there's this guy on his iPad, like watching a movie. He's the only person awake on the plane, basically, as far as I can see. And I like reach up from the aisle and like pat his arm, and he just goes, oh fuck. I scared the shit out of this guy, and I was like, "Excuse me, what aisle is this?"
While you're on the floor bleeding.
Yeah, I'm like trying to not look like a crazy person. And he's just like, this is like row 28 or whatever. I'm like, oh, I seem to have gone too far. Pardon me. And I like crawl backwards back down the aisle, and I like get back to my seat. DJ's like passed out, and I like climb back in my seat and wake him up. And he's like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because like my lip is like puffy and bleeding, and I'm like, I am green white. Like my face is just
oh my God,
so pale. And he's just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And I told him, and he's just like, should I tell somebody? Should I call like the flight attendant? I was like, no, I just need to like keep cold sweating and just pray for me. I just need water. So we made it, and I made it home, and I didn't die, or pass out again, but it was like terrible. And like this,
my God.
I think the same thing happened to my brother. Sorry, Brett, I'm blowing up your spot. But he was on his way out to DJ's bachelor party a couple of years ago, to visit in DC, and he passed out on the flight. I think it's like it's just like a thing that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, yeah,
it's like one of the most common reasons for flights having to make emergency landings, I read.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, because I obviously like had to research all this to make sure I wasn't dying.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when they're like, oh, do we have a doctor on board? You're always like,
Yeah.
What's going on? And I'm sure most of the time it's like not urgent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Don't be careful. Just hydrate.
I have a friend, he has a horrible story about a person dying on his flight.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
fuck.
maybe I'll have him, like, I'll ask if he wants to, like, write it up. It's such a good story.
Oh my God. Ugh. So we've talked way too much about traveling through the air. If you think all that's bad, try being a pioneer in the 1800s, because that's what we're going to talk about right now.
Oh my God.
We're talking about the Donner Party today.
Can we just,
and how horrible that was.
Yeah, can we just, like, say why it was horrible? Like, the most horrible thing?
Well, okay, first of all, when you're a kid in California in public school, you learn about California history in 4th grade. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things you learn about.
You spend, like, half the year focused on, like, pioneers and the gold rush and, like, the Oregon Trail, and then the other half on the missions of California.
The missions, yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody knows the Oregon Trail because we all played that dope game when we were kids.
I played it, like, recently. You can find it online. It's fun.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
And so, like, you like, part of the setup of the game is, like, picking, like, how many, like, all the supplies and how many oxen you need and what time of year to leave. All that is, like, very important to the game. It was also very important in real life. And
Go figure.
Like, and which ways you would, like, how you would ford the river and stuff. Like, do you want to cock your wagon and float across, or do you want to ford the river?
Or go around it.
And lose a couple days.
Yeah.
Well, it did a pretty good job of highlighting some of the real challenges of migrating across the Great Plains and the wilderness of the West to get to the West Coast.
Yeah. This was the least successful. I mean,
It was the most tragic, most horrifying. I mean, everybody kept diaries back then, but these people that were on this this particular trip all kept diaries pretty faithfully, even in times of turmoil.
Oh, God. Are we going to wait then to tell, like, what people know, right?
People know what I think, when I moved to DC and I would, like, make jokes about, not jokes, but.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
but,
jokes.
like, mention it. People didn't know what I was talking about. But I think most people do. I don't think people on the East Coast learn in depth about the Donner Party as much as we did in fucking 4th grade.
Yeah.
The reason that's horrifying is because they ended up eating each other. Like, the Donner Party is synonymous with cannibalism.
Yeah. And, like, it wasn't it wasn't fun or really a choice. I mean, it was for survival.
It wasn't like fun cannibalism. It wasn't like a cookout.
Well, it wasn't. You know, you hear stories of like that cop in New York that like found someone online and wanted to eat them and they were like into it. It wasn't like something that people were like seeking out. It was like, oh,
Right.
fuck, like we're starving. That person's close to dead. Let's all just decide right now.
Yeah. Would you... Well, we can talk about this after.
Yeah. I'll maybe...
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, let's start from... I mean, this is a series of
Unfortunate
missteps.
Yeah. Unfortunate decisions.
Yeah.
And the very first terrible decision came from the book, this like travel guide by this guy who was a mountaineer, Lansford Hastings, wrote this book. He was a fucking jabroni, first of all. He was such a douche. He knew what he was doing, I guess. Like he'd been tramping through the mountains and like doing the mountaineering thing, but he wrote this book about, I think it was, oh shit, I forgot to write it down. It was like the Immigrant's Guide to Oregon and California or something like that. I can't remember. My bad.
He hadn't gone through any of these trails or like any of the pathways that he was recommending with wagons.
Yeah.
He'd always gone just like on horseback, like, you know, with like a small group. And so it was like far easier to get through some of these, you know, trails that he had recommended. But then once you like factor in a wagon, it like, and like tons of wagons and families and all this shit, a bunch of ox, like it's not the same.
Yeah. And a lot of these trails, he just kind of like, I don't know if he like heard about them or just like looked at a map and was like, this seems like an easier way to go. And I feel like it would, a lot of feelings and thinking.
Right.
But no actual
knowledge.
No actual proof or knowledge that and specifically this one shortcut that he recommended in his guidebook that was supposed to save a bunch of miles and therefore time for people who are trying to make it over the Sierra Nevadas into California.
Did you see the note about there was like a traveler that joined the Donner Party for a bit, J. Quinn Thornton, and he nicknamed Lansford Hastings? Did you see what the nickname was?
No.
It was Baron Munchausen.
Shut up.
Because he was full of shit and lies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he was like just like lying to everybody. I thought that was
wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Everything's connected.
It is.
Yeah, so Lansford Hastings, his Immigrant's Guide to Oregon and California was the name of the book. People were buying this, people were very interested in migrating west because there was, you know, the great expansion was happening in the United States. People were, you know, moving to stake out their claim for their own piece of property. There's lots of reasons for people to immigrate, but mind you, the gold rush had not happened yet. This was just the great expansion into the West. So lots of people taking the Oregon Trail specifically to get where they wanted to go. And there were definitely tons of tried and true trails that many people had taken. So when this guy came out with the Immigrant's Guide, the Lansford Hastings jabroni guide, people were like, "Oh, great. We are going to make it way shorter. Like, we got all this stuff. We got to get over there. Let's go." And people were like trusting this guy. There was no one to say this guy is not correct. So, started in, let's see, Springfield, Illinois. The Donners and the Reeds, two families that were the originators of this party that ended up picking up a few other families along the way. Because like I said, like everybody's following these trails. You meet up, you make stops at like Independence, Missouri is like the main jumping off point where everybody kind of gets their supplies. And I think that's even in the game Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Like
That's
where you like buy all your clothes and food
Mm-hmm.
and supplies and all that.
And it was better to have more people because it meant that you could like hunt together and like share resources, and you had protection from like, you know, other travelers or like
Native Americans.
Yeah,
who
Native
are,
Americans
like,
or
pissed.
Yeah, that are like
get the fuck off my land.
Yeah. Or like even like wildlife and stuff. So
yeah. So they have a pretty, they get to Independence. It's like I said, the Donners and the Reeds. The Donners were George and Jacob. They're brothers, and they had their families. And then the Reed family was James Reed and his wife and their kids, and his wife's mother, who had like tuberculosis, who ended up dying like pretty early on in the journey. She was the first death.
But natural.
Yeah. She was already really sick, and she just didn't want to leave her daughter, so she started to make this perilous journey, and they didn't even get into it, and she ended up passing away. That's how hard it was, like even just for, you're just going along. You're not, and it's like in the easy times, like if you have any kind of illness, you're not gonna do so well.
Yeah, you're just getting on the on-ramp, and grandma's dead.
And they had they should have started earlier too. Like they ended up leaving what was it? They got rolling like mid-May, but they should have been rolling by like late April.
Yeah.
But it was like really rainy and stuff, so they were kind of dragging their feet. They were on the road, they're rolling, they're having a pretty easy time, and they're rolling with like lots of other groups of people that are on the trail also. Pretty easy so far. And by the way, their wagons that they had, like especially the Reed's wagon, was like huge.
Yeah.
I think it required like at least like 8 oxen to like pull it, which is a lot.
Well, the Donners and the Reeds were pretty well off too. So like,
yeah,
both those families had like a significant amount of rations. They had a lot of animals that they brought with them. Like they were more well off than some of the other families that they would eventually meet up with. But with that in mind, while they were called pioneers, few of them had the actual skills to survive on the trail.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of problems that arise out of that.
Like if you want to apply like modern day, like if you want to liken it to something modern day, it'd be like somebody trying to take their like fully loaded like SUV like on a backcountry fucking off-road
without a compass.
Yeah. In a place they've never been to before, or have neither have very many other people.
Yeah. And there's like a dirt road, but sometimes you might lose the road, and then you're like, which way do I go? And you're like, I don't know. Let's just try this one.
And your car doesn't fit, or your fucking fully loaded expedition doesn't fit through, which is such a dumb name for a car. If it's like like a luxury car, it's like, bitch, this isn't going on an expedition. This thing is just meant for like politicians rolling around in DC. Like it's not going off road anywhere.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of what these wagons were like. They're a luxury kind of rolling like motorhomes kind of.
Yeah.
And they didn't on a trail that wasn't like well tended or well trod, it was not gonna be very good.
No.
Yeah. So while they're rolling, they get to a kind of a fork in the road where it's like the parting of ways, and the people who they're rolling with are like, we're going this way. This is the tried and true way. And then like the Reeds and the Donners and a bunch of other families are like, we're gonna take the shortcut. we think it's smart. And everybody's like, don't do that. There's like people who like warn them who are like, don't do that. That this is not a good way. I don't know that you're going to make it with all the wagons and all the oxen and all the shit that you have. And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, they part ways at Little Sandy River. And they take off with about, I think they have like 20 wagons, bunch of families, and they take this less traveled trail.
Yep.
So they were thinking they were going to be saving like months.
Yeah.
With this trail. And mind you, they're on average they're going about 2 miles an hour. It's like July 31st by the time they get to like any like this. Like it's taking months and months and months to like just go, a few hundred miles.
Well, especially once they like the shortcut is Hastings Cutoff, and that guy that we talked, the jabroni, it's jabroni's cutoff, and it wasn't, so like we said in the beginning, it wasn't meant yet for wagons. He had gone through on his horse and he's like, oh yeah, like this looks pretty good. So like 2 miles an hour is slower than you could even walk. Like you could walk faster than that. But they were having to like fucking get out and push rocks and trees and shit out of the way. Like they were like forging their own trail as they were
they had to like bushwhack through like tons and tons of like it's crazy.
No, it's so crazy. And it's
I
like
think
a DIY trail or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, just imagine being in like the most wilderness you've ever been in and like think, okay, what would it take to clear a path for like however wide the wagon was?
Yeah.
Like 20 feet wide.
That's hard.
Know.
Yeah.
It's
and you're not
insane.
going in a straight, you're having to like go in between trees and like if you can't just cut down every tree that's straight ahead of you. So
yeah. So they're getting hung up going through this path. I think at one point they even catch up with Hastings.
Yeah.
And he's leading another group, but it's like a couple people, and he's like, no, it's fine. You can keep going this way. You're gonna get to and they're like, I think they like get to Humboldt River.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, before that, sorry, they're in Utah.
Oh, they're Black's Fork.
Maybe. And he's like, oh, just cross this desert. It'll only take you 2 days. And they're like, okay, cool. And they start going, and the sand is like, is moist, is like wet, and it's like sucking their wagons down. So during the day, it's like super fucking hot, and then at night it gets really cold, and all the moisture comes up from the ground, and it's like impossible for them to move.
Yeah.
It takes them 5 days. They almost die of dehydration. They lost 36 oxen, I think. A bunch of wagons had to be left.
Yeah.
So they make it through the desert, and all their supplies are decimated. They're fucked, and they're pissed, and their morale is super low. But at this point, they've just crossed kind of a point of no return. Yeah. Yeah. To go back means, and they don't know how to get around this desert. They don't know anything.
Well, and right before they like crossed that desert, there was a point where they all had like a huge, like maybe like a little mini meltdown, and some of them were like, let's just turn around and go back. Like they were on this like DIY trail, and they're like, this is fucking BS. Why don't we just turn around and go back to the main trail that everybody else is taking? Like,
yeah, and there's like tons and tons of arguments. People are like, what the fuck are we doing?
And they're like, no, we would lose 11 days, and we don't want to do that. And Reed was like a little bit of an instigator in all this, and kind of like trying to take control of this party, I feel like, because he was the one really urging them in all of these moments, like, oh, let's take this shortcut, no, let's not turn back, no, let's do this. And he was like really trying to like I don't know. He was kind of responsible for a lot of the shit decisions that they ended up making.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that kept being like, let's go, let's keep going. I think this is the way.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, okay, I guess. Like, he was like very authoritative and confident. So,
yeah.
And he was like this rich dude with like this fucking 2-story goddamn wagon. So everybody was like, all right.
Yeah, he has like the fucking, high-end motorhome version of the... There's TVs in it and shit.
Yeah. There's like bunk beds. It's like a rolling palace.
Yeah.
So everybody's pissed. They make it through the desert. They get to the Humboldt River, and everybody's just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
We're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
We almost just all died of dehydration, and we just lost a ton of supplies. And they are all pissed, and at one point James Reed gets in a fight with John Snyder over some wagons get tangled up, like the oxen, like all the stuff get tangled up, and John Snyder starts beating the shit out of the animals, and James Reed starts screaming at him. They tussle, and John Snyder goes to hit him with like the whip, the ox whip that he has, and James Reed fucking stabs him and kills him. And then everybody's like, oh my God.
Everybody's like,
what?
The Wild Wild West.
Yeah. We're going straight to the Wild West. Oh, they're in a bad way, and everybody's pissed. Like, people want to hang James Reed, but they ultimately just end up banishing him from the group and sending him on their way.
Well, people didn't know what to do because they're like... This is what's weird to me is, like, laws didn't apply out west because it wasn't, like, a governed territory. And technically, like, the Mexicans owned it. And, like, but the U.S. was trying to claim it, which is why they were sending all these people out there. But they didn't know how to, like, govern themselves. So they're like, oh, like, if we were back east... this would be punishable by death or whatever, but they're like, but out in the West, we don't know what to do out here. What should we do? Like,
yeah. So they just settle on banishing him, and and I don't know. He takes some provisions and he takes off on a horse or some shit.
Oh, his daughter gave him some.
Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. They were like going to turn him away with like nothing, but he left his like wife and kids and took off.
Good for him, too, because he survived.
Yeah.
It was actually a good move.
Spoiler alert.
No one ate him.
So they just keep pushing on. They get to... They're still, like, pushing through some, like, gnarly wilderness.
Yeah.
At one point, like, Paiute Indians, like, killed a bunch of their oxen.
Oh, yeah.
And they are just... Their morale is terrible, and they... realize they're at the point where they just have to keep going or else they're gonna die. Like, they're surrounded by Indians. They know that they need to get to California, to Sutter's Fort. They finally make it to basically the to Truckee Lake, which is the entrance to the Sierra Nevadas, and they need to basically summit over this spot of the Sierra Nevadas, and they can descend down into California.
Yeah, I wrote in the notes that they were only 100 miles from Sutter Fort, but I think that's fucking a lie. I think it was like 8 miles or something.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
I think that's true.
Oh, okay. I thought they were like, it's almost like they were almost just so close.
They were so close,
when they got to this point, but it is like the most treacherous. It's like the last kind of challenging part of their journey.
Yeah, I mean, they'd already been through a lot of shit. They went through this horrible route, and unfortunately, they get stuck because it starts snowing really, really bad. There's a huge snowstorm, and really bad luck that they got this snowstorm when they did. I feel like if they would have left a little bit earlier, or if they would have, like, I don't know, gone, I don't know.
Well, it's also a little bit
made it.
Yeah, it's also a little bit of a freak thing because it was like early, it was in late October, but it shouldn't have, like, there shouldn't have been snow yet. And it was, like, I think an 8-day storm. So it wasn't like, oh, a little bit of snow will just, like, forge ahead.
This is 1846, by the way. I don't think we, like, said that in the beginning.
Oh, God.
So 1846, late October, this is the start of one of the worst winters on record in the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah.
Ever of all time.
Whoops. So, I mean, it's bad luck.
It's bad luck. It's bad.
They
it's
should
real
have
bad
left
luck.
early, though, and they should have stayed on the normal trail that everyone else is on. And when they didn't stay on that trail, they should have gone back and lost the 11 days, but been on the normal trail. Although, at this point, they were on more of the... Like, they had taken that detour, but they had joined up on the trail at some point. So they weren't, like, way off at this point.
Yeah. They were still taking a way that was not commonly traveled,
right?
Though,
but
when they got to Truckee Lake,
but there were they were lucky because there were like 3 cabins that had been built by previous travelers. So when they got stuck there, they had a little, respite from the storm. And
well, they did try to make it up over the summit, like when it's kind of stopped snowing. But the snow is too deep. They couldn't make it. So they just realized, okay, we got to make like this winter camp. And we have to wait out the winter. I mean, that's a crazy decision to make, to be like, we're going to spend 4 months here.
Well, this is where shit gets fucked.
Like, to where you're just like, you're so trapped. You're like, all right, we're just going to hunker down for the fucking winter.
Listen, so many bad decisions. This was
so bad.
I mean, they didn't really have a choice, but this is where I feel like so many things happen because obviously they're running out of rations. They don't really have the skills to hunt, but also there's not a lot to hunt in that area. There's a lake right there, but none of them know how to fish because they're just air quote pioneers. Over. Well, even before it froze over, they don't know how to fish. They're just like fucking, they're not like survivalists.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of, I don't know.
Yeah, they're
motorhome and fake pioneers.
Just not outdoorsmen, not handy in any way. And most of them are women and
kids.
Children.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, I think 40 something kids under the age, I think, of 18, I'm assuming, is how they're the numbers on all this are kind of hard to nail down because there was a lot of people coming and going, like people who like branched off from the group, or people who a couple people died along the way, like what's her name's mom died, and then somebody else died of consumption as well, aka tuberculosis. So the numbers are, I couldn't get a firm number on how many kids exactly and where the cutoff was for age-wise. I'm assuming it's 18, but there was like 40 something kids, and a bunch of them, I think, what did I write?
40 kids is about half the party too. Like that, they were made up about half.
And I think a lot of the kids, some of them were like nursing children, like infants. Yeah. Like babies. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see if there was an exact number. 6 nursing babies.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so they're stuck in this little, by this lake for the winter, and it starts snowing and it doesn't stop. They get, I think, like 9 or 10 huge blizzards back to back. It's really bad over the course of time, and there's therefore like the pass is completely blocked. They're completely trapped. Yeah, in this place.
Nowhere to go. There's 3 cabins. There's like, I think at that point there were like 60 or so people like living in 3 cabins, which were basically just like a room with no windows or anything, and had like a hole for a door.
Yeah. Whoever had come through before had made these like little shanties. Yeah. And I think they might have like cobbled together some other kind of structures from whatever they had left.
Yeah.
And, like, I think somebody made, like, a crude log cabin. Like, they cut down trees and made shelters and stuff, and they did what they could, but it was not enough.
No.
So, yeah, there's, like, abandoned shacks, like, cobbled together cabins, whatever. They start realizing, like, they're starting to run out of food. They're burned through all their provisions. They're starting to eat, like, boiled hides. I remember in 4th grade when we learned about this, we learned that they were, like, starving and, like, that they resorted to cannibalism, but we didn't go too deep into it, I think, in 4th grade, because that's pretty traumatizing. But I do remember learning that, like, that was the first time I heard about cannibalism. And the thing that, like, tripped me out was, before learning that they, like, ate each other, was that they were, like, boiling, like, shoelaces and hides and, like, bark and stuff. And I was just like, I couldn't wrap my mind around that when I was a kid.
Well, that's,
like,
not
how
food
desperate they were
to you.
It's not food.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, people aren't food either, but that's what is, like, it's almost more disturbing to me, because they would take their like, their ox skin rugs, and they were cutting it up and eating it. Like, the kids would, they were eating tree bark, which was weird, and the kids were, like, picking apart the rug and would, like, roast it in the fire and then eat it.
Yeah.
That was weird to me.
It was just needing to put something in your stomach,
Yeah.
because they were just starving. So they didn't care if it was, like, edible or not. I mean, there's a lady who's eaten a couch before. So, you know that show?
No, is it, like, about the...
It's like My Strange Obsession.
Okay, I was going to say it's about,
like,
like, the people that eat their hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like, you can eat anything.
Yeah, well,
you shouldn't.
It doesn't mean it has nutritional value or will
No.
help you survive.
No, it was all a matter of, like, trying to fill up their stomach with something.
Yeah. They had killed a bear at some point early on when they got there, so they were, like, really optimistic, because they were like, oh, well, looks like it won't be that bad.
Yeah, there's still wildlife.
Yeah. But then...
You dumb idiots, fucking bears go and hibernate in the winter.
It started snowing, and the bears were like, time to take a nap. And then there's no more.
And then there's just nothing. No, and I think there's birds, and that's it. And they can't, they're not doing they're not going to shoot a bird out of the sky. They can barely, like, I don't know.
Yeah, they can't even fish.
Yeah. So mid-December comes around, and a group of the 15 strongest people that are in the group try to trek out, because I wrote down they're only 150 miles away from Fort Sutter at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're trapped.
Yeah.
Okay. So...
Okay, 100 was close then.
Yeah. So they try to trek out, 15 of the strongest people. It's 5 women, 9 men, and a boy of 12.
Bring the fucking 12-year-old, you asshole. Great.
Well, he was strong enough.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So they're called the Forlorn Hope, is what they're referred to.
Yeah.
They try to make it over the summit to go for help. I think...
Oh, what?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say in, like, 12 feet of snow. Like, they fashioned these little snowshoes, but they weren't very helpful.
Right. Yeah, they did help a little bit, but...
Well, yeah. But in 12 feet of snow, like, they're not getting very far in... And they only have the snowshoes. They each have, like, a blanket. You know, they have, like, a little pack, but...
Yeah. They couldn't take too much from the people that were still stranded there.
Yeah.
Oh, and meanwhile, while they're all chilling, fucking James Reed, meanwhile, was still alive, and he made it to Fort Sutter.
Yeah.
So he was like, we need to go rescue my people. I'm pretty sure they're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, he made an attempt in October, like before things got real bad, but because of the early snowfall, the pass was blocked. They just couldn't get through, and the people he was with were like, we're not going to do this. And he was like, oh. all right.
We have to wait. They're stuck, and they're gonna have to wait it out.
Yeah.
And we'll wait, and then when the weather's better, we'll go back and try to get them.
Yeah.
And what they didn't know was that it was just not gonna stop snowing.
Yeah.
So
For months.
For months. So that was October. December rolls around, mid-December. These group of 15 people, the Forlorn Hope, try to go get the fuck out and find help.
Yeah.
And they get stuck. They basically like can't make it, and this is the first instance of recorded cannibalism. I think Mary Graves, one of the main families is the Graves family. Their driver was the one that James Reed had killed. Mm-hmm. So they were like an important family. But they basically got lost. She like kept a diary of all this apparently. And everybody started dropping dead. Mm-hmm. And they, I think Patrick Dolan was the name of the first guy that died and that they ate. Mm-hmm. They started roasting him on the fire. And I think there were 2 Native American men with them who were like, fuck this shit. Y'all are gross.
Yeah.
They refused to eat people. They also ended up labeling the bodies so that they didn't eat their own family. Yeah, their own kin. The 2 Native American dudes, what were their names?
Louis and Salvador.
They were getting kind of freaked out, and I think somebody was like, hey, you better get the fuck out of here. I think people are talking about killing you and eating you.
Oh, yeah.
So they ran away from these now cannibals.
Well, because they were like, yeah, the people died and they were eating them, and they're like, oh no, well, once we run out of these people, what are we going to eat? And they were like, oh, let's eat the Native American dudes.
Yeah, so Louis and Salvador are like, bye.
Yeah, they got tipped off. Yeah. They're all, I'm out of here.
Yeah, but they found him in the forest and they ate him.
They fucking shot him both in the head.
They killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where, I made a comment earlier that like, oh, well, she actually died of natural causes. Actually, a lot of people died of natural causes, but there were a few instances of murder.
Yeah. And so these people just went kind of berserker and they're going crazy. And so somebody stumbled up to somebody's house that's in the foothills, mm-hmm. and they're like barely alive, and they're like, there's a few of us left, everybody else is dead, and there's a whole bunch of people back at Lake Truckee. And so they the word spreads that, oh god, these people are still fucking there and they're still alive, and we need to get up there and find them. But again, the snow is too much. So the 7 survivors of the Forlorn Hope are safe and fine. But they get the word out that like there's like tons of people, like women and children, that are stranded in the mountains.
So the people in the mountains just start eating each other also.
Yeah, the people in the mountains just start eating each other. There's one guy in particular, Louis Kessberg, who he really liked eating people.
Yeah. Is that the guy that was like hoarding body parts?
I think so. And he might have actually killed somebody and ate them.
Yeah, but it was never like determined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because the Forlorn Hope made it to civilization, all these relief parties actually eventually got together. The first relief party headed out, I think, February 5th.
Yeah.
And that was led by, the second relief party headed out 2 days later, and that was led by James Reed. So he was like chomping at the bit trying to get back to.
Well, his family's there. Yeah.
His family's there, yeah. So, the first relief party goes up and makes it to them, and they can only take 24 people out. And then, think about really quickly what it must have been like. First of all, they were there since October.
Oh my God.
And this is now February. Like,
they've eaten all their rugs.
Like,
and their friends.
It's like shocking to think about this. Like, and this really happened.
Yeah.
When the first relief party got into the camp, they could tell like people had been getting eaten.
Well, there was like body parts and frozen, I think the first relief arrived and they were kind of walking around the camp and they saw like, I think it was one of the Donner men's dead bodies, and his brain was, or his skull was cracked open and the brain was gone.
Ew. Dude.
So they had eaten it. So they were like, there was little signs, but probably, I doubt they asked about it. They just kind of made the assumptions. Put two and two.
I wrote the note. By the time the second relief party got to the lake, cannibalism was in full effect.
The first relief party didn't like leave them with real food?
I don't think they could carry that much stuff.
Oh, that makes sense. They probably they probably just wanted to bring as many people back as possible.
Yeah, they can only take 24 people with them,
Yeah.
like to lead them back through. I mean, they probably had to like carry people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these people were not doing good. They were in real bad shape. Like I think there was 48 people still alive by the time they got to the first relief party got to them. But there were some people that were like beyond hope, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, they eventually had, I think, four rounds of relief parties to go pull all the people out of that were alive out of the mountains.
Oh God.
I had written of 87 that were stranded there, 46 survived, and yeah, I think 41 died.
Oh my God.
All the Reeds survived. And all the Breens, that's another major family. They have the Breen family kept lots of diaries, so this is all corroborated and all real.
Yeah.
Almost all the Donners died, though.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think the Reed family was one of the only families that did not resort to cannibalism.
Oh, really?
And they all survived, yeah.
I wonder what they ate.
I don't know. They probably ate their fucking luxury wagon.
They were vegans. They only ate bark.
Yeah. And then when one of the relief parties came up on this Louis XIV guy, he was really gnawing on bones. I just have some notes about him. When he got back to civilization, he recovered whatever. When all these people were like brought home, like all these people made pretty full recoveries, like went on to like live lives. There's a lot of orphans after all this.
Yeah.
So some of these kids got adopted by families. But Louis XIV talked openly about eating people and that he liked the taste of flesh. And he actually made a lot of money during the gold rush because the gold rush happened at Fort Sutter where they were trying to get to.
Yeah.
The year after they were rescued, I think they were all rescued in February of 1848.
Oh.
Or 1847,
yeah.
I'm sorry. And in January of 1848 is when gold was discovered at Fort Sutter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this Louis XIV dude, he was like, everybody's like, dude, this guy's crazy. He like still talks about eating people. And but he made a shit ton of money in the gold rush, and he opened a fucking restaurant.
Oh no.
For all the like 49ers that came.
Wait.
Yeah.
But he didn't it was just regular food.
It was just, no, he wasn't like cooking people.
Oh.
No, but like think about that.
Yeah, that's
for a
gross.
second.
That's really gross and weird.
I just think about James Reed leading the the second relief party, and then like rolling into camp and not knowing what he was gonna find, and knowing that his wife and his kids were there, and realizing, oh my God, these people are eating each other, and like he not knowing if his wife or kid had been eaten. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
So like I James Reed was a douche in a lot of ways, but he also was like kind of like a hero for going back and making it happen with the relief efforts.
Maybe it was guilt. There was guilt.
I mean, he needed to redeem himself somehow.
He did, yeah.
The person who is the worst in this story is Lansford Hastings.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Oh my God.
He had took no responsibility for any of this. This guy was a total fucking clown. He was an asshole. He did not even care that all these people died because of his like made up fucking shortcut.
Yeah. Well, and like it's just fucked up because I don't know. People were kind of in cahoots with each other. And people, and this is life anyway, but there are people who want to benefit from people who don't know any better. And like he was in cahoots a little bit with a guy, this Mr. Bridger, who had like a general store along the trail before Hastings cut off. And someone had gone ahead, like a journalist that was traveling with them with the Donner Party for a bit. He'd gone ahead and he was like, sent word back to the general store to the Donner Reed party and was like, don't go this way. Do
not come this way.
Like this guy has only ever been on horse. It's not good for wagons. And the general store owner didn't share that information because on the other side or whatever, along the route, he had another general store and he would profit from. Ugh. Yeah, there was some way that he would make money if they actually went that way, and he didn't care. So he was like, "Oh yeah, no, Hastings cut off. Go right on ahead." So
yeah, it's pretty shitty.
Yeah, I feel like the Donner Party is fucked up for, obviously it's most well known for the cannibalism, but they just resorted to what they had to do, and I feel like it's more fucked up based on the decisions that were made along the way, like. I don't know. It's weird that people would even leave late. Like, it's not going to end well for you. Like, don't.
Well, I think people just kept hearing like all the good things about the whole. Like, they knew it would be hard, but they were like the risks outweigh.
Or the reward,
or the rewards outweigh the risks.
Yeah.
Like they were like, we need to stake our claim. We need a better life. We need this. And it's going to be great. And they knew people had done it many, many times before. Like there was a tried and true way to do it. And the fact that they didn't do that and decided to take a shortcut is just like the whole moral of the story. I think don't ever take shortcuts when you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, like there are times when it's appropriate to take the road less traveled.
Sure.
But for the most part,
that's figuratively.
Yeah, because
not literally.
No, because the road less traveled in this instance meant they had to eat each other, and it wasn't good.
Do you know what ended up happening to Lansford Hastings?
No. He
wrote another guidebook for people who were immigrating to Brazil, and he died trying to. Yeah. He's a goddamn huckster. If he was around now, he would have started a Ponzi scheme. He died trying to establish a colony in South America. Oh. So he died, first of all, trying to be a colonizer, fucking asshole. And I don't know how exactly he died, but he probably died of like malaria or something. I hope he did anyway.
And then he came back.
Fuck that guy.
And then he came back to life as Lou Pearlman.
Oh Lord. Well, I mean, that's kind of all I got.
Yeah.
I wanted to say too, it was super interesting during this time this is all happening was when when California, or when the United States was trying to take California over from Mexico.
Yeah.
So there was like nobody around Fort Sutter to like go even do rescue missions.
Oh, right.
Which was
they were
another
all,
factor.
They were all fighting the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when the war was over, there was like people that were able to go up into the mountains. So I thought that was really interesting how like that very major moment in history kind of intertwines with this whole story.
Well, that's why I think that's why like the government and stuff was saying, hey, if you go out to California, you can have as much land as you want. You know, like you have all these opportunities, because they were trying to get people to go out there so they could claim
manifest destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then the gold rush happened, and then everybody was like, fuck yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
So no, and then the Hastings cutoff was actually used quite a bit after that. And I think Truckee Lake was renamed. Truckee Lake was renamed
Donner Lake.
Donner Lake, and that whole area is called Donner's Pass now.
I want to play Oregon Trail now.
I know, right?
Yeah, I might try and find it online.
Yeah, that's all I got. I got most of my information from this really great documentary on PBS that Rick Burns did, the older brother of Ken Burns.
Oh, who's Ken Burns?
Ken Burns is like, he does all the famous like PBS documentaries.
Oh.
Like they did like Civil War, I think. Rick Burns did that one, I think. And then Ken Burns did like he's done like he did the national parks one that was really awesome a few years ago.
The Burns Bros.
The Burns Bros. Good dudes. So that was the PBS American Experience, the Donner Party. That's a good one. And then I also read some of the stuff from the Diaries, which is the Donner, I think it's the Donner, DonnerPartyDiary.com. It sounds fun, but it's not.
There's a lot of diaries that aren't fun.
No. Like, I read mine from when I was a teenager, and I was like, well, I'm going to burn this because it's terrible.
I was always way too self-conscious to write a diary. I was like, if someone ever found this, I would die.
Yeah. It's kind of the other way around with these diaries, though.
Yeah.
Awful.
Oh, well.
Terrible story. Terrible time in history. Don't complain about traveling on a flight anymore.
Well, I hope your flight to Japan doesn't run out of food and you don't have to eat anyone.
Yeah, I got snacks just in case. I got some
little trail mix.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's what they should have had, some trail mix. That's why it's called trail mix. So you don't eat each other while you're out hiking.
While you're out on your 2-hour hike.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Hey, this is a bunch of, like, I survived, like, things about people who get lost hiking and are fucked.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Like, go off the trail.
Don't leave the trail.
All right, dude.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Follow us on social medias, at DTFU Podcast, everywhere. Send us an email at DTFU or to DTFUpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. We really love having you here. And also rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes because it helps us out.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.